Okay, hey, this is Ken Smith again. Been a lot of talk on the fishing forum recently about the different cards available, and also the different. I've had a lot of questions from my first video about how you access some of the things on the Humminbird and the LakeMaster card. By the way, I've actually figured out some more stuff since my first video that I really think is cool about this card. There was a question the other day, a guy was asking about the base map. So, and I apologize, I'm doing this at night to try to get you a really good screenshot. But this is my 1198C. I don't know that you can see that real well, but that's my 1198C. That's the base map that comes on the unit. Now this particular card right here, this is the SD Premium Navionics version 1.21, that's an 09. So if we load that into the unit, you're gonna see, it takes it a second to load. So you see you pick up significantly more detail on the charts. This particular one, I think it has probably looks like maybe 5-foot spreads on the depth charts there. And yeah, that's pretty good detail. But I have sitting right beside it, so I'm going to back that one out. And I have the LakeMaster card right beside it. So watch what happens now when we go to the LakeMaster card. There is no comparison between the detail of the two. This is in 1-foot increments, and it is just a much better detailed card. Now granted, there's not nearly as many lakes. Somebody made the comment the other day, if I'm going to buy one card, which would it be? I think it's got to be the Navionics, and that's mainly because of the number of lakes. There's just so many fewer lakes on the version of the LakeMaster I have. I've heard there's a new version out. I've not seen it yet. I called them the other day, and they were undecided whether they would give us either in some kind of a trade-in or a rebate value to our original cards if we sent those in. Now, on the LakeMaster card, there's some really cool features on here. To get to them, and I know again you can't see this, but you're going to go over here to your menu button and hit it a second time, and it brings up this menu. Now, one of the things you've got to do is make sure under setup you have advanced set. If you do, you can go back to your chart icon, and this is where you get all the nifty little extra things. The first thing is depth colors. So they've given you several templates here. I personally, so what you're seeing here is you'll see the map change colors. I am a big fan of setting it on 8, and I've played with it a bunch, and that's just the colors I like. It's got a little bit of color to it. So I go to there. Now, the other things, some other features on here that are really cool is depth highlight. So you set depth highlight. I've been setting mine on about 10 feet. Okay, excuse me. Actually, I've been setting it on 15 feet. Now, you'll see a very, very faint band in there. It's only marking the 15-foot band. So what you go down here and you tell it how broad a band you want it to go. So if you want it to go 14 to 16, you say 1 foot. It gets a little bit better. You want it to go 13 to 17, etc. I've been trying to fish in this range right here of about 10 to 20 feet. So what I've done now is I've set that band to go 5 feet either side of 15 feet. Now, a couple of cool things about this. Let's say, for example, you're on a grass lake and you know that's where the grass band is. Well, once you get that, now you have mapped all over the lake where you would expect to find grass. Makes it also a lot easier, by the way, to find the grass edge. I have 2 Navionics chips. I only have 1 LakeMaster chip. When I stop and start fishing on stuff I don't know, I'll take my LakeMaster chip to the front. I have the same depth contour set up there. I load it there and I can go from there. Also, menu. I also set every time my shallow water. Now, Rayburn's very low right now, so it's pretty spooky. I go down here, and by the way, so this is where you set water level offlet. You see I've got it set at 11 feet because Rayburn's 11 feet low. That adjusts my map for me. Note of caution, if you set that and go to another lake, it's gonna think that lake's 11 feet low as well. You're setting the unit to that, so if you then went over to Toledo and it was a different depth low or Fork, you would have to change that depth number on there. Shallow water, I really like. I've been setting it at about 7 or 8 feet. It turns those red. so that now you have a good sense of where you don't want to run. For example, out across in front of Keeney, those flats, it's out there, it's basically waist deep out there, a half a mile, 3/4 of a mile off the bank. One other thing that I found recently that I think is a really cool feature, and by the way, this is neat when you're looking for really sharp drops, because now anywhere you see that green band get very... Guys, I had a little issue last night with my battery. The last thing I was going to point out there about this particular map was anywhere you see that green line get very narrow, quite obviously that means your contour lines are close together and you've got a much sharper drop. So if you're looking for flats, you'd look for these broad expanses of green. If you were looking for sharper drops, that would look like to me a real ideal point with a very narrow band of green. So remember, that green is a spread of 10 feet of depth the way I have this set up. So it drops 10 feet really quickly there. Here it drops 10 feet over basically an acre or so. Okay, so now I've gone back in, and you wouldn't have to do this just on a main river, it could be anywhere. I've gone back in, I've set my depth highlight at 55 feet, given myself a range, so 45 to 65 feet, and look at this. Now you know exactly where the river runs, right up the middle of the lake. So really cool features on this LakeMaster card. I'm still learning every time I play with it. There was also one other question the other day. Somebody was griping about their Lowrance had too many screens. There are 3 buttons. They're really hard to see on this, but there are 3 buttons right here at the bottom of the unit. All you have to do is push and hold one of those buttons. So for me, my first screen I usually want to go to is where I'm at and my depth. Once I put the boat up on pad, I want to go just to my screenshot of my map, and then the bottom one is 2 different types of depth, 2D and 3D. So you can set those. All you do, if you want to make this a different screen, let's say you want to make that, you just push and hold that. You'll see it's going to pop up, press and hold the set shortcut. That's my shortcut now. So if I'm on my map, I punch that, that's now my shortcut. It's a really cool deal on the Humminbirds. You can go in and delete some screens to look at. I like having all my screens available to me. I just use those 3 buttons to look at the screens that I use the most. Hope that's helpful, guys.